Mars is going retrograde in Gemini October 30th until January 12th, 2023. How can you use this energy to rewrite your story in whatever area this energy is affecting in your natal astrology chart? We're going to dive in, talk astrology, tarot. Stay tuned. So since we are going to be talking about houses of astrology, and I use Western astrology, you're going to want to know your rising sign. You're going to watch for that first and filter the information through your rising sign. If you need an astrology chart, go to astro.com and you can get a free one. So before we get into our astrological overview of these energies, I would just like to invite you to hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you find the content valuable. We would really appreciate it. So why is Mars retrograde kind of a big deal? Well, I mean, any aspect is as big a deal as you want to make it, really. But as you know, I'm all about using energies if you've been watching my channel. So every transit is an opportunity for us. And Mars retrograde in Gemini is giving us an opportunity to rewrite our story. What does that mean? Why did I come up with that idea? So Mars is a lot about how we use our energy. It's how we go about getting what we want. It is the natural ruler of Aries, and Aries is all about that very focused arrow of desire, going boldly, brazenly, sometimes bodaciously after what we want, and we go in a straight line. Most Aries do not take detours. They see the target, they aim for the target, and they go. Okay, so Mars is a very direct energy. That arrow of desire that's on Mars, the way, the glyph is in Mars, has the arrow on it. So when Mars is going direct, the arrow is pointed forward. When Mars is retrograde, the arrow turns backwards. Where is it pointing at? It's pointing at you. So with Mars being retrograde, pointing at you, what do you really want? If this is speaking to your internal desires and internal self-examination and questioning, because it's in Gemini, and Gemini is all about communications. So Mars retrograde in Gemini, to me, is giving us an opportunity. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the communications planet. It's giving us an opportunity to communicate anew with ourselves about our most deepest desires. It is helping us tactically reevaluate the targets that we've been aiming for in our lives, especially wherever Mars is transiting in the area of your natal chart. That's why I always say watch for your rising sign first. So the key to using this transit is to do some self-examination. A lot of times we don't want to do that. It's tough to kind of be brutally honest with yourself. But now with Mercury entering Scorpio, which it just has as of today, I'm filming this October 29th, and Mercury will be in Scorpio over the next 17 days, 18 days, I think till November 17th, something like that. This is a great time to have those honest conversations with yourself, to dive deep within and figure it the F out. So I just want to share this quote with you that I found that I thought was very appropriate for this Mars retrograde in Gemini energy. Do not limit yourself to your own preconceptions of yourself, but throw yourself out onto a blank page that you haven't written on yet and see what you find out about you. See what story unfolds. See what happens. So I think it's very interesting that we're having this Mars retrograde situation happening right before we have Pluto and Saturn getting ready to make major energetic shifts in March of 2023 as Pluto moves into Aquarius and Saturn moves into Pisces. So even though that's happening in another area of your chart, there is this building sense, and I'm sure many of you have felt it, this building sense of major things are about to shift. That we've already seen chapters ending, things shifting out. We have a big lunar eclipse happening November 8th. That will be another very clear time marker of some sort of chapter ending. But we also have other things going on with the major planets shifting in March, Pluto and Saturn. So this, again, it's a great time to just really check in with yourself with that Mars retrograde. Turn that arrow of desire back onto you and make sure that you do know what you want going forward, especially, as we approach these major energetic shifts in the springtime. And just as another side note, Mercury will be retrograde. Mercury ruling Gemini, right? Will be retrograde in Capricorn when Mars goes direct in January. So you're going to want to wait. I know. You're going to want to wait to maybe take action on whatever you discover in this internal reassessment period until after Mercury goes direct in Capricorn, and maybe even after the new moon in Aquarius. And that new moon in Aquarius will be happening on January 22nd, 2023. So Ariel and I are going to dive in with the tarot, watch for your rising sign first, and we're going to see what energies come up for this specific area where Mars is going retrograde in your chart. And we'll try to come up with an important question to be really focusing in on for yourself, to answer honestly, so that when Mars goes direct, you can make forward progress in this area of your chart. And really, I know there's some heavy energies right now. I know Mars is also squaring, Mars retrograde is going to be squaring Neptune retrograde. There's some other things popping with this transit, but I wanted to keep this very simple in a sense. I wanted to really get at the core energetic essence of this particular transit. And like I said, I think the best thing to do right now is to go within. All right, let's get into your reading. So Aries, this Mars retrograde is vitally important for you to pay attention to because it is your ruling planet naturally that is going retrograde. And this is happening in your third house of communications, writing, speaking, teaching, networking, sales, siblings. And what I'm really feeling about this transit for you is that you need to have an honest conversation with yourself about the direction you want to go next in your life, at least by your birthday. Okay, so this is a major wrap-up phase for you. And I'm also feeling that it may have something to do with your career, since Pluto's getting ready to finish up his transit of your career zone, your 10th house, next spring. And also, have you achieved an important wish in your life with Saturn transiting that house of wishes, 11th house for you, Aquarius, and going into your 12th house, Pisces. So very interesting energies for you. And a lot of the times it's, you'd rather go than sit still for a moment and tune in with yourself. So this is a great time to do that. I'm not saying you have to do that for 8 weeks solid, but do that at some point. And be brutally honest with yourself. Sometimes you're very good at being honest with everybody else, but not with yourself. Okay? So, all right, look at what we got here. So we have a 2 of Cups, 3 of Swords, 8 of Cups. So what this is saying to me, Aries, is that it's important for you to reevaluate some important connection in your life with this 2 of Cups. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could be a friendship. It could be a business connection. It could be, whatever. Because there is something fundamentally that is not working with it. You're betraying yourself. 3 of Swords here. And notice it's the 3rd house of communications we're talking about. And it's the air energy coming out, which is the Gemini. So you may be fundamentally betraying yourself by continuing to engage in this connection. It may look good on paper, but the actual day-to-day, that's also 3rd house Gemini, the actual day-to-day reality of that connection is that it is not what you want. It causes regular heartache, pain, disappointment, etc. And you got to put on your cute little red coat and get out of there. And notice it's the 8 of Cups, which we're talking about a roughly 8-week transit. And we're also talking about perhaps the timing with that new moon in Aquarius We have a full and new moon showing up here at the end of January. Okay. After January 22nd. So the reality is you deserve something better in your life in terms of personal connections. You want this. And in fact, most Aries show up like this. You show up with so much beautiful, heartfelt, gorgeous, connective energy when you meet people. You know, you wear your heart on your sleeve. Unfortunately, somebody either has or they're about to really show you that they're not showing up with that equal energy. You want to set the intention. You want to reassess, reevaluate, and be brutally honest with this conversation with yourself about who in your life is not showing up for this. Also, you know, what adjustments might you need to make as well to heal yourself from a recent disappointment? There could be some sort of, energetic vibe that is still hanging around where this already happened, but you haven't fully released it yet, energetically, emotionally. And so having that conversation, journaling about it, etc., over the next 8 weeks would be a great time to release that energy and move on from it, so that end of January onward, perhaps by your birthday season, there can be a new connection coming into your life. So it's important for you to really look at, some important connection in your life that either is about to show you its true colors or that already has, and honestly process through it. Be honest about it. Don't go into Mars square Neptune, la la land, denial about the reality of whatever that connection is. They are not showing up in the same way as you with this connection. And the sooner that you acknowledge that, you realize it, you can move on. Now, some of you, yes, may be dealing with a third party situation. It's possible. There could be some deception that comes out of the woodwork with Mars squaring Neptune currently and into the first couple weeks of November, where you're going to see, I have no choice but to move on. I mean, yeah, you can stay, but they'll just do it again. So again, this brutal, honest conversation with yourself, who and who does not have your best interests at heart. Ultimately, you must have your own best interests at heart, Aries, and take control of this situation once Mars goes direct again. But there is something to be learned from whatever this situation is. And as I said, I think it's really about you choosing more carefully who you allow into your private world. All right, because like I said, not everybody's showing up with the same good intentions and matching energy as you. So Taurus, you have Mars retrograding in your second house of money and self-esteem and values. So this is a time for you to reevaluate what you're investing your time and energy into, and is it worth it to you? Only you can decide that. All right, so let's see. So it's time to have a very honest conversation with yourself about this. Let's see what we need to know. We have the moon, and we have the hangman, no reversals. And we have the Fool. Wow, look at this. All three major arcana energies. Now, I am going to do a separate video on the lunar eclipse that's coming up in your sign on November 8th. What I am feeling here is that there is likely to be some sort of information that comes out of the woodwork for you at that lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are about letting go. It is happening in your sign. So there could be a major shift in what you do find valuable because of something else going on in your life at that time. Maybe a big chapter ends, which necessitates a change in direction, a change in what's important to you, which makes you rethink how you're spending your time and your money. Okay. So, and you could have a lot of mixed emotions currently about some ways that you have been navigating the world. Interesting that the hangman is showing up here, because this can be a lot about seeing your situation from a different perspective, but it can also be an energy of sacrifice. So you may indeed be making I feel like you're going to be putting your finances on hold. You're going to be maybe tightening your belt. I don't want to say sacrificing certain things, but you may have a temporary, because remember, we're just talking about the retrograde transit. You may have a temporary timeout sacrifice of pulling back your energy, your finances, until you get that clarity. Because there is likely to be something that shifts for you, like I said, at that November 8th eclipse. And remember, eclipses can also have a shifting effect a month before or a month afterwards, and sometimes even 3 to 6 months afterwards. So you do and you will have a fresh start in your finances based upon some sort of freedom that you are looking for as well. So this freedom could be connected with leaving behind a job, leaving behind a marriage, leaving behind a place where you were living, leaving behind some source of income, leaving behind a dysfunctional situation, a toxic situation, whatever it might be, something where you weren't appreciated for your sacrifices, for your energy that you were investing. So by the end of this transit, you can absolutely have some sort of beautiful new beginning for yourself based in optimism once again. But there is something really to be looking at very clearly and carefully here about where you have not been happy. We've had a lot of mixed emotions about making some very deep sacrifices. You could also have been paying, you could be supporting somebody. You could be paying the bills for somebody, like a child, an elderly parent, something like that. And like you've had it, right? You don't want to do it anymore. I mean, that's possible too. But let's see what shakes out with this lunar eclipse. All right, that's going to give you that real, that solid information. But my personal opinion would be don't act on that yet, especially anything to do with your finances, but sit with it. Okay, and you'll know the right moment to move forward. You'll see that very clearly after the Mars retrograde time period is finished. So Gemini, this is an important transit for you because it's happening in your sign. So it's in your first house of the physical body, of how other people see you. Mars retrograde, or Mars in general, is about how we use our energy. So the fact that this retrograde is happening in your first house of the physical body, it's important for you, I feel, at this transit. And this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but, so please, discuss with your doctor. But this is a really good time for you to reevaluate all of your health regimens. Okay, every single way you're taking care of yourself or not taking care of yourself. You may need extra rest during this transit, especially. You may need to go back and revisit if you have certain health tests. I wouldn't take them as gospel right now. You may need to get second and third opinions. You may need to, especially with Mars being square Neptune, going into November, there may be a lot of confusion, especially anything related to something going on with your physical body. So again, discuss with your doctor, but you may have to get alternative opinions. This is not a time to be revamping your wardrobe. This is not a time to all of a sudden get a different hairdo. This is not a time to be overly sensitive to how other people see you. You may not have the desired effect on other people that you would like at this time. That's possible since it's your first house of the self, how other people see you. So other people might not see you clearly, especially with Mars squaring Neptune, but other people may see you as low energy or not that passionate or fiery, or they could just see you as somebody who's a little confused, not on point, like you don't know what you want. Which is, again, this is just a temporary thing because of the transit. And as I said in my recent video for you guys, please go watch it if you haven't already, on the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, which came out in your reading. You are very much of two minds about something to do with your career. So this Mars retrograde, again, how the world sees you, how you see yourself, especially if you're having that confusion with your career, that may be coming up for you as well. So again, go watch that. Go watch that video. But Let's see what we need to know. It's important for you to ask the questions about, are you showing up in the world authentically as who you really want to be? Where is your energy fraying, frazzled, run down? And how can you use this energy to reboot and rest if you need to? Right, so let's see. The Lovers. There's your energy coming up right away. And the Libra energy. The Justice. Wow, this is interesting. And the Ace of Swords. Okay. So what I think is going on here is there's likely some sort of decision that is looming for you, which again came out in that other video. This can be about an important decision about two possible identities, right? Because of the Lover showing up. So you could continue to show up as this Gemini version, especially in your career, or you can show up as this Gemini version. Interesting, we have the Libra energy showing up, which is your 5th house of love, romance, creativity, relationships, children, entrepreneurial, creativity, etc. So you could be struggling to choose between two potential people in your life. And how do I make a decision? I like both of these individuals. What do I do? So that's possible. Or I like these two creative projects and possibilities for my life, but I'm not sure which direction to go in. We have the energy of balance here. So right now with Mars retrograde, it's, you don't have the balance in a sense, right? You're a little thrown off balance in terms of your self-identity. You're rethinking your self-identity. You're rethinking how you want to use your energy to show up in the world. You're going to get the clarity. You're going to make the decision. The Ace of Swords is here. And by the time we have that new moon in Aquarius, which is fantastic, that is in your 9th house of the big picture perspective of your life, the big vision, where you see yourself going, you will have made the decision. Okay? Now, let's look at this from a wellness perspective also. The Libra energy here, to me, it's about the balance in your life. There's something maybe there, the balance is thrown off in terms of how much you're working, how much you're resting, how much maybe you allow yourself to get distracted with relationships or, pleasurable things instead of doing the mental work you need to do, as an example. There's something here perhaps about also reevaluating fairness in relationships as well. Are you being fair to yourself? And any way you're not being fair to yourself causes a drag and drain on your energy. With the Ace of Swords showing up here, I'm really feeling like this is something about more so your mind, that you need a mental break in a sense. There may be something going on. I'm just getting, there's Mars rules Aries, as we've said. Mars is about anything to do with the head. And since we have this Ace of Swords showing up, and your energy showing up here, I'm feeling like there's something to do maybe with getting your eyes checked, your vision. There may be something going on with migraines, headaches, that type of thing. Maybe some sinus, just anything to do with this area that would benefit from, again, to consult your doctor, benefit from a rest, from moderate and balanced cures. Okay, whatever treatment that you would do. It's not something like, go crazy, but again, it's a lot about the balance. So yeah, some of you, some of you need bifocals. You need the progressive lenses. You've been in denial about it. You're just like, no, I can just get by with the cheaters. No, the cheater glasses. No, you need the real glasses. And that not having the proper prescriptive lenses is also causing an imbalance and causing the headaches. So it's something like very, I think, fairly easy to fix. Does not require anything too crazy from these particular energies. I mean, this is all very, very good energy. But by the time we get to the end of this transit, you will have the victory, the clarity. You will be moving forward with a renewed sense of balance in your life, doing right by yourself, making decisions that are fair to you and not always giving your energy away to somebody else or not always distracting yourself with other things. You're going to be really on point, have this real clarity of exactly how you should move forward and how you would like other people to see you and who also you want in your world supporting you in a fair way. Cancer, you have Mars retrograde in your 12th house of things hidden behind the scenes, your subconscious. This is a very karmic house. It's the house of endings. So with Mars retrograde, you could be going back over old ground, especially subconsciously, about some endings that may have happened. And it's not that you're going to necessarily reunite with somebody, but it's more like going back over old ground so that you can wrap up any last karmic threads that you need to wrap up and tie into a cute little bow before you can move on to this next phase of your life. And it, again, wrapping up and revisiting certain karmic situations doesn't necessarily mean you deal with people in the present. This could be something from the past. It doesn't mean you see them again. I mean, it could, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that subconsciously, because it's that 12th house is the house of the subconscious, you know, you need to wrap these things up for yourself. All right. So let's see what we need to know about this. So this is really, I would say, having an honest conversation with yourself about, is there anything, any relationship, any connection that I really need to clean up karmically? And maybe you need to do that through an unsent letter. Maybe you need to just go do a cord cutting ceremony. I mean, whatever you feel like you need to do. Oh yeah, it's the Devil and the Two of Cups and the Four of Swords. It is very possible that this has to do with some sort of important relationship in your life that is likely not around anymore because the Four of Swords is here. So it's dead in a sense. But at one time it was very important to you. However, with the Devil here, it was likely not a fully healthy connection. But it was very karmic. It taught you a very important lesson. But that person is not in your life anymore, is my feeling with this Four of Swords. However, the energetic influence is still there because we do have the Devil showing up here. So it hasn't been fully freed yet from your subconscious. Again, 12th house, Mars retrograde in your 12th house. So this is a great time. I would recommend, honestly, an unsent letter. And you may need to also write a letter to yourself and forgive yourself for whatever, you think you need to forgive yourself for in dealing with this situation. Because with this here, it could have ended in a way that was not very nice either. What I'm feeling is that the toxic situation could have come about through outside influences. The relationship itself may have been pure and heartfelt, but it could have been energy surrounding the relationship that caused its demise. That's possible. Negative energies, that just didn't make it possible for this relationship to flourish. But it could also have been some sort of, one of the persons could have been toxic in it as well. They could have had an addiction or, something else going on. In any case, I would say take some time out and write an unsent letter to this person. Say whatever you need to say. Wrap that up, write a letter to yourself, forgiving yourself for whatever you think went on, what you did, they did, whatever, and release it. Okay. It is very likely that this individual will show up astrally in your dreams over the next 8 weeks during this Mars retrograde period, because this is also a card of sleeping. So, and again, they could have passed on. They could That's possible too. They may not even be on this earthly plane anymore. That's also possible. And this necessarily doesn't have to be romantic either. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, etc. So don't be surprised either if they come in a dream. If they come in a dream, that's not necessarily, in my opinion, but remember this is a general reading, that you should contact them in this world, or you should, have a relationship with them again. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. All right. In fact, I strongly suggest from these energies that it's probably, we don't want to go back to that. All right. So something is going to get stirred up with this Mars retrograde in that 12th house of past karmic relationship, past baggage that still needs to be healed and shifted. And in whatever way you can release that energy, please do that. But also have the honest conversation with yourself that energy is still around. You may be like, oh no, I healed from that. I'm good. Okay, maybe you did, but also maybe you didn't. Just think about it. All right, Leos. So Mars retrograde is happening in your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams, of friendships, networks, and of gains. So this is interesting. There may be a second chance for you somehow in a connection, in a personal wish getting manifested. I'm kind of feeling like this is a little like a Mercury retrograde where, when people come out of the woodwork, so to speak. So with Mars retrograde, you could have somebody, especially in Aries, very, very possible, or maybe a Scorpio, come back into your life. Now, they may pop out of your life again when Mars goes direct. They may be in and then back out again. But there may be a renewed contact with an Aries or a Scorpio. So that's possible. And this doesn't necessarily mean romantic. It could be, but it could also just be someone who's in your network, so to speak. You may be revisiting your hopes and wishes and dreams. Is there a way that you can choose something different for yourself, realign your energy in some way to manifest what you want? You're going to be, really rethinking all of those types of things. I'm just getting the sense, though, that it is very possible that something beneficial from your past comes back to help you in some way, especially after Jupiter goes back into Aries on the solstice, right around the solstice time. So December 20th, 21st. All right, so let's see what we have. The wish card, and we're talking about your hopes and wishes and dreams. The 8 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords. Okay. So there's definitely the sense here of people who are with you and people who are against you. And I think this Mars retrograde is going to really show you who's ready and willing to walk out of your life. Fair weather friends, in other words. So I think you're going to see that. But equally, you're going to see you're going to see who's of real value in your life, who's willing to build new things with you in your life. 8 of Pentacles. This may have something to do with your work. That is possible with this 8 of Coins coming up here. You're going to see very clearly who is supportive of you and who is, backstabber. But what I'm also feeling here is that I call the 5 of Swords daytime anxiety, and it can be about mental doubt. So with the back turned to this, I think a good way to use this energy and a good way to have this conversation with yourself is, what can I do? What actions can I take on the daily that help me manifest my fondest hopes and wishes? It's the action that is the key, instead of getting all caught up mentally in what hasn't happened yet. Okay, so I would suggest that you have that conversation with yourself. You ask yourself the question, where do I allow myself to get distracted, and I allow myself to go down this anxiety rabbit hole, so to speak, and lounge on the sofa and, oh my God, what was me, rather than, getting back to my workbench and getting back to my expertise and doing what I know brings me joy and pleasure and can help me manifest my dreams. So I think you're going to have a very exciting wish manifest for you by the end of this Mars retrograde period. And the thing is to not allow your mind to be your own worst enemy during this transit. I would suggest also to make up some sort of to-do list for yourself over the next 8 weeks. Like one thing a week you can do toward manifesting some important hope and wish and dream. And again, with Mars retrograde in that 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams, you may be going back to the drawing board and rethinking where you want to invest your energy and your mojo to make some sort of wish come true for yourself. I think what you want to manifest in your life is undergoing some sort of important renaissance. It's shifting, it's changing, and that's okay. That's okay. And maybe that's causing the anxiety. Maybe you're kind of like, well, how come I don't want that anymore, and I want this thing over here instead? That's okay. That's really okay. But what I love about this too is this is your Virgo energy, and that's your second house of money. So, and we know that prosperity is a lot a mental game. It's not just about what we're showing up and doing every day. I mean, yes, that's important, but it's also a mental game. So the more that you can invest your energy, especially if you're trying to manifest some sort of gains for yourself. This is the 11th house. Remember that we're talking about Mars retrograde. You're trying to manifest some sort of gains for yourself, financial gains. It's important to continue to align with your joy and just get back to work. All right. And you are likely to be working on something a little different. And I would say that something different is the key to manifesting your wishes. A Virgo, Mars retrograde is happening in your 10th house of career and calling, and also your status in the world. So what does that mean? So the status can be your status update. Like if you were going to put a status update on social media, am I in a relationship? Am I single? Am I married? Am I retired? Am I back to work again? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I this? Am I that? Like, what is your status? So that's another way to look at the 10th house. But the 10th house is also usually about our career. So with Mars retrograde in this house, you could be revisiting a career project. It could be back to the drawing board. There may be important things to redo on it. You may be reinvesting your energy into some sort of career pursuit. Maybe you're, like I said, going back to the drawing board on something career-wise. Maybe you're reconsidering if you should retire, if you should get married, if you should get divorced. Again, 10th house. So let's see what the energies have to say for you. You could be reconsidering some sort of, important career connection in your life. Let's see what we need to know. The 10 of Cups. And another number 10. Wow, the Wheel. And the Page of Pentacles. So interesting because we're talking about your 10th house and we have two number 10s showing up. If we're talking about career, I think you're looking at whether your career family, whoever you work with, and even as an entrepreneur, even if you're a solopreneur, you still have clients usually. You have people who are buying your products or services. So that's your family, right? So whatever way you want to look at it. Is your career family a happy one, or is it a dysfunctional one? What would make it happier for you? Your daily environment of work, the people you're working with. It is likely that you are rethinking the people around you. And we talk about having a work wife or a work husband, right? I mean, you've heard that expression that people use. So it is our workplace. We spend so much of our time, even if it's just virtually nowadays, but we spend a lot of our time, with our work family. So what is that like for you? Is it a 10 of Cups situation? Is it happy or is it dysfunctional? Because the wheel is showing up here. So there is likely to be some sort of positive change that can come for you. Probably right around the Capricorn season, the start of Capricorn season, when Jupiter, here's our Capricorn, here's our Jupiter goes back into Aries, which happens around the very start of Capricorn season, December 20th. So there is likely something that you're going to be considering with the Page of Pentacles here. It's in your hand. You're looking at it going, do I want this? Do I not want this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? So this could be some sort of new career offer. This could be for you to be a manager where you're working now. This could be somebody wants to fund your project at work, something like that. There is a little bit of a wild card factor to it because the wheel is showing up. But, it's ultimately benevolent because it's Jupiter energy. It's opportunity. And that is happening in your 8th house, Jupiter, when he gets back into Aries. And that is about other people's money. So it is likely that you could be on the receiving end of, especially because we're talking about your 10th house of career, Mars retrograde, of somebody perhaps you've known from the past who wants to invest in you in some way. They either offer you a job, they offer you an important connection, an introduction to a connection that you can make, something solid. They do a solid for you, in other words, with this Page of Pentacles here, so that they really show how much they appreciate you, they care about you, etc. with this 10 of Cups. So I think this is very, very favorable. I would say also that it's going to be interesting to see with that new moon in Aquarius, because that's your 6th house of work, and that's happening at the end of January. So I do feel like there's going to be something that will favorably result from this Mars retrograde period for you. But the thing to be asking yourself is, what am I open to in terms of change? Because there is going to be something that gets offered. Am I open to it? Am I open to changing something? Because you could be perfectly happy where you are right now, 10 of Cups, which is fine. But if this comes in, are you going to say no to it? All right. So again, it's going to depend. It's a general reading, but these are, remember I said this is about this Mars retrograde, really asking yourself some important questions. If we're talking about a relationship here, this Mars retrograde, like your status change, you may be indeed reevaluating, is this person really solid? Are they going to make me happy? Is there a better person out there? Or it could be like it's been happy up to this point, but something could change. That's possible, to show you that, yeah, this person is a person I can continue to invest in this relationship. This Page of Coins here. There may be a very tangible sign of love that comes to you around the solstice, around the holiday time. If you get my drift, there could be, an engagement ring. There could be some other sort of tangible expression of commitment that comes to you. Again, you may have to reevaluate. Do I really want this or not? Okay. In terms of if you're thinking about retiring, some of you are really having this idealistic view of what that will be for you. And it may be that the reality could be very different. And you maybe want to, perhaps not. I mean, everybody's situation is different, but perhaps really iron out the details of what that would look like for you, especially financially. Because you could I'm just feeling like you might get bored. That's what I'm feeling, Virgo. All right. If it's a retirement situation, it'll make you happy maybe for a little while, maybe even a year to make you happy. but then you're going to want to kind of go back to something. You're going to want to be doing something. And it is possible that the wheel could also give you the opportunity to do something part-time. So you may decide, yeah, you know what, I am idealizing it's going to be so great if I'm just fully retired. And the universe, because it's universe energy, may say, well, wait, you could always do this just, 20 hours a week, and that would be fun, or whenever somebody needs you or something like that. So that may also be something that's coming up for you to rethink, to think about. All right. So all of this is very interesting. But I'm really feeling, if we're talking about career here, the question to be asking yourself is, what am I open to changing? Because it is likely that something very interesting gets offered to you. And if you've been working in some sort of toxic situation where you have been wishing for a happy workplace, again, I think something very positive could shift for you by the time we get to the end of this transit at that Aquarius new moon in your 6th house of work. So Libra's Mars retrograde is happening in your 9th house of the big picture perspective of your life. This is also the house of travel. So you got to be wanting to be careful if you're traveling over the next several months. If you are going to travel, you might consider revisiting places where you have been before. There might be a tendency to want to travel back to nostalgic places or reconnect nostalgically with people and situations from your past. Again, to put it into perspective so that you can move forward, not necessarily that you're going to live in the past, but there may be some sort of karmic situation to wrap up with traveling back to a place from your past or reconnecting with somebody from your past. There may be delays with writing or publishing, or going back to the drawing board with writing or publishing activities, international business, international connections, redoing your website, things like that. All right. But to me, this would be a lot about asking yourself the question, what am I revisiting in my life to wrap up so that I can move forward in a new direction once Mars goes direct, the big picture of your life. Ace of Coins and the Three of Cups and the Capricorn energy with the Devil. Okay. So you can either invest your energies into something that is toxic, the Devil card, or something that will bring you great joy. It's really either or. Three of Cups is about just joy and celebration, but there's a lot of freedom of movement to the Three of Cups as well. It's a party card. It's a celebration card. But it's also about dance, movement, motion, especially just emotionally feeling free. Whereas the Devil card is a lot about feeling emotionally stuck and held back. And with the Ace of Coins here, it's very interesting. This is about some sort of opportunity that could come out of the blue, but especially in Capricorn season, because we got the Capricorn showing up here. So maybe around December 20th to January 19th. But what I'm feeling is this has something to do with, aces are for me about the self. And this is about your solid investment of time and energy and money, perhaps. Getting clear with myself where the best investment of those energies is going to be. And I do feel, since we have two very, very diametrically opposed energies here, you may be seeing the light, so to speak, with this Mars retrograde on which is which in your life. Which are the situations that bring the Three of Cups feeling, and which are the situations that bring toxic attachment. So, and you're going to choose one of them. With this Ace of Coins here, by the time the Mars retrograde is complete. All right, by the time we get to that new moon in Aquarius, which is very favorably aligned with your energy. So yeah, this is very, very interesting here. I think likely you are going to be celebrating by the end of this transit, freeing yourself from a situation that has chains to the past, so to speak. So what this is going to be different for every person. You have to apply the energies to your life. But I feel like you're going to have this enhanced sense also of self-worth and knowing that you have grown a lot from whatever was holding you back before as well. And that whatever freedom and feeling of lightness of heart that you have in your life, you have earned that. Okay, so I feel like there's just going to be some things to put into perspective from your past. And as I said, this could be literal travel or just, figurative travel. But you're going to be making decisions that are much better for you because you've learned a lot. You've learned about breaking free from some toxic stuff. And so you're going to be moving in a lot more inspired direction for your life. But you'll really see, I feel, whatever you revisit at this time period, you're going to see exactly which camp it falls into in your life, and you'll be able to make your decisions accordingly. So have that honest self-assessment with yourself. Know exactly what's a 3 of Cups and what is a toxic situation in your life. Scorpio, we have Mars going retrograde in your 8th house of transformation, physical, mental, emotional, financial. We have the South Node going through your sign. So you've been through over the last 8, 9, 10 months, you've really been going through major letting go, purging, transformation, shifting, wrapping up old karmic contracts, things like that. So with the Mars retrograde in this deep karmic house, the 8th house for you, and especially because it's the house of transformation, there may be a little bit of a pause. You may get a breather. You could get a breather in terms of this rapid transformation that's been happening. A pause for you to kind of assess everything that's happened thus far. But it also could have you revisiting a very interesting karmic contract from your past, is what I am feeling. So this could be a person who comes back into your life, or a situation that comes back again to make sure you got the lesson. All right, that makes sure that in whatever is going on for you with that particular person or situation, that you really graduated with a PhD in that. All right, so if you get what I'm saying. So I would also say, don't go back to old habits. You've worked very hard to break some toxic situations, to break old habits, to let go of some stuff that's been no good for you. Don't backtrack. Okay? All right, so let's see. Because there could be a temptation with the Mars retrograde in this 8th house. There could be a temptation that, tries to reel you back in. Whether we're talking about a person, we're talking about things that you eat that are no good for you. That could be a temptation. Or some form of behavior that's no good for you. And, something you're tempted to go back to it. All right, so let's see what we need to know. Having that honest conversation with yourself about not going back to it. All right, what do we have? We have a 10 of Coins, and we have a Knight of Pentacles, and we have a Knight of Cups. Okay. So this could be something involving your finances. This could be something involving family finances. The 8th house is also to do with other people's money. So there could be some sort of money situation that you are revisiting, especially with family finances, especially with real estate. Could be an inheritance or some other big money payout. 8th house, other people's money. But I feel like something is a little bit stuck with it, with the Knight of Pentacles here. And it may require a lot of your emotional fortitude and patience to hang in there. The situation will shift. I mean, it absolutely will. But there could be, there's something here with this Knight of Cups. I feel like there's a lot of stuck emotional energy around whatever this financial situation is. So by that, I mean, it could be that you feel like you can't move forward until you have that money, which may be true. Okay, that could be the true reality. It could be that there is some sort of emotional blockage also that you are working on in terms of your own prosperity and in terms of what you deserve. Pentacles for me are about self-esteem. It's not just about money. So there is something maybe stuck or that needs to shift, or that, again, you don't want to go back to bad habits about, your deservingness, what you feel you deserve. And there could be some high stakes financially that are going on. And maybe you're getting pulled back into some sort of unhealthy emotional reaction habit, knee-jerk reaction, like that type of thing, about it while Mars is retrograde. But then you're going to snap out of it. You will snap out of it. I feel like on the very basic level, this can just be something that's held up. It was offered and then it got stuck. And it gets stuck probably because of red tape, paperwork, holiday time. It's like, that type of thing. So that's very possible also. There's something I'm just feeling about digging in deep with your patience and not sabotaging yourself if patience is required with a financial situation. Okay. But I do feel this is Capricorn energy for me. We got the Capricorn here too. I do feel by the end of Capricorn season, this will be resolved for you in some way. All right. So by the time we get to that new moon in Aquarius, which is on January 22nd. So it's only a few days after Capricorn season finishes. You should have the closure on whatever this particular situation is for yourself. But until then, you may have to deal with red tape, especially with other people's money. There may be, like I said, requirements, paperwork. You could be waiting on a settlement, the judgment, the final number that comes in. It's like that type of thing. So don't assume that there's not going to be progress. This is slow and steady progress, but that's the point. It may just be slow and steady. Also, stick to whatever new habits and routines you have put into place when it comes to your personal transformation. Don't backslide on whatever new routines you've implemented for yourself, whatever new habits that you have implemented for yourself. So if you've had just like with the South Node going through your sign, a lot of you have been decluttering. I've been reading it in the comments, Scorpios, right? Like you've been decluttering and everything. So now don't go backslide and all of a sudden you start filling up your space with more stuff again. All right, you see my point here. There's something here about holding, slow and steady to the course of action that you have already taken in terms of your personal transformation, and just being a little more patient to know that something very solid in relation to your career, your finances, possibly inheritances, family money, investments, real estate, all that type of thing is likely to wrap up favorably for you. Also, that new moon in Aquarius, that is your fourth house, okay, of home, family, and roots. So especially those Scorpios who are waiting on, something to do with those areas that I just mentioned. Again, just be patient. Sagittarius, this Mars retrograde is happening in your 7th house of relationships, both business and personal. And also the 7th house is the house of enemies. Isn't this interesting? So when Mars transits our 7th house, other people could be a source of irritation for us. Or we may be the source of irritation to other people. So with Mars retrograde in the 7th house, there could be old arguments that come back around, or old antagonisms, old enemies or frenemies that come back out of the woodwork. There could be the sense of going in circles with a particular contentious relationship or situation. A likely solution can be found once Mars goes direct again. Now, since Mars rules your 5th house of love, romance, creativity, etc., this and children, this could have something to do with romantic partners, maybe even children. Right? I'm just saying because of Mars ruling your 5th house. So let's see what we need to know for this. So I think the thing to look at, and you know I love you, Sag, right? You know I love you guys. But oftentimes you feel like you are right. Because you're the sign of truth. You're the truth teller of the zodiac. So you're like, I'm always right. I'm right. You know, I know what's going on. I'm right. So with this Mars retrograde, you know, you're going to have to eat humble pie. Like, you may not be right about something. So there may, just again, keep these energies in mind. Honestly assess, where am I really correct? Or where do I have to admit, yeah, you know what? I was wrong. The other person is actually right on this. So that may be something going on. But where are you open to compromise? That's another thing to maybe take a look at as well in personal relationships. All right, let's see what we need to know. Queen of Pentacles. You want what you want when you want it. And the Knight of Pentacles. And the Ten of Swords. Okay. So what this suggests to me is there's likely to be some sort of energetic stalemate when it comes to finances. All right. You have your own ideas about how something should be handled. There's this Queen of Pentacles here. And this is interesting. The Capricorn energy is showing up. That's your 2nd house of finances. And then we have stuck energy, Knight of Pentacles, and we have a Ten of Swords. So somebody feels like they're getting the short end of the stick financially, is what I am feeling. Or there could be, if there's a circular argument, situation that repeats itself, there could be a situation about finances, particularly joint finances. Right? So if you have a partner and they're, you know, combined finances, they're spending money this way, you think it should be spent that way, and you feel betrayed that they just went out and bought whatever, and you thought the money should have been used for this. It could be that type of thing. So there could be, and both of these, you know, stuck energy, stubborn energy. Something's got to give here with this Ten of Swords. All right. So is it going to come to this? It doesn't have to come to this. Remember, this is not a prediction. This is how do we use energies. We always have free will. We can choose to use energies. So it doesn't have to come to a backstabbing, betrayal, Ten of Swords energy. You can choose to be aware of this and say, you know what, how can I enact some sort of compromise? Have a conversation. Since we're talking about Gemini, have a conversation with an important partner in my life, whoever that may be, could even be with one of your children, about what we can and cannot afford. And not having the same old fights about what we're spending our money on. That's what I feel is going on with this particular energy. There is likely a financial goal that you are very focused in on achieving for yourself. How you achieve that goal, the other person may have a totally different idea of how to achieve it. Or maybe they're not even on the same page as you. That's possible. And you feel betrayed, they're not on the same page. So I always like specific examples. That's my Mercury and Taurus. I like specific. So for example, let's say you and your partner are trying to save for a house or a car or whatever, some big ticket purchase. And you're like, well, that means like we got to cut out everything. No more Netflix, no more Apple Music, no more vacation to wherever, no more, like, we're going to eat rice and beans. Like, that's it. Like, this is what's happening. And you come to find out that, you know what? Your partner actually is content continuing to rent because they don't want to have to deal with all the expenses of a house. And they'd rather spend the money in their current, habits of whatever they spend their money on. And that might feel like a betrayal because you maybe have thought you were on the same page. So that's possible. I feel like there's some sort of conversation to have first with yourself and then with somebody else in your life about family finances, about the family financial goals. Is everybody on the same page, not only with what the goals are, but in how to go about achieving them? All right. So now, another possibility with this energy is if you have been receiving financial support from somebody else, because remember, we're talking about your 7th house here, and we got the finances coming up with this. It is possible that they backtrack, since Mars is retrograde, they backtrack on some sort of promise to you, some sort of financial promise. This could also be in a business sense. So maybe your boss promised you a raise, or they promised you a certain amount of paid time off, right? It could be something like that even. They promised you a bonus at the end of the year, something like that. Guess what? They may renege on that. They may go back on that, or they go back on the amount. You think you're getting a Queen of Pentacles moment, and you're really only getting a Knight of Coins moment. So they backtrack on it somehow. That's possible too. So this is going to be some interesting energy to deal with. But have those conversations. And I would also say, since the Pentacles are coming up so strongly here, have a conversation with yourself about your finances, Sag. Get really real and honest about them with yourself. Pluto is about ready to get out of your 2nd house of money. He's been in Capricorn since 2008, tearing up your financial life. Now that he's almost ready to get out of there and move into your 3rd house, this is really the time to wrap up any loose ends, especially with brutal honesty with yourself about what you have achieved financially and what didn't work out, and what you can do to use the energies and change it. Capricorn, what is going on? We have your Mars going retrograde in your 6th house of work and well-being. So this to me speaks of rest, little recuperation, revisiting diet and exercise. Of course, check with your doctor. It may be revisiting a work project. You could perhaps get an offer from a past employer or past connection, or somebody you were connected to in some way with your past in your work life. It could even be a colleague. It doesn't necessarily have to be a boss or work offer. But whoever comes in from the past, it's likely to help you wrap something up and or make a decision about moving forward. I don't necessarily feel like there'll be an offer from the past, but let's check in with the tarot. I mean, there could be. It could just be somebody who comes and helps you or gives you information so that something that's already in progress can succeed. That's very possible. But overall, I feel like this is a time for you to really pull inward and focus on your well-being. And sometimes that's challenging for Capricorn to do because you'd rather just go, work. There may be, and that's fine, but I would suggest that you find that balance between taking care of yourself during this Mars retrograde season in preparation for a lot of big movement, big energy happening in the spring next year, especially with your ruling planet changing signs and also Pluto getting out of your sign and going into your 2nd house of money. But also because I feel like there is something that you're likely going to be working on in secret, okay, with Mars retrograde in your 6th house. So you could be going back to the drawing board, redoing something, working on it in, I say secret, but it could just be working on it in private. And this could also be just you working on your own attitude about work and its place in your life, and also what you are working on or not working on. Because when you're excited, you will burn that midnight oil. When you're excited about a project you're working on, you don't care. It's 2 a.m. You're doing it. Like, you love it. If you've noticed lately that you haven't had that spark in something, I'd ask myself why. Revisit what you're focusing your energy on. What goals are you trying to achieve in your work life? If you're seeing that you're not really burning the candle with certain things and you're feeling bored and uninspired, that is a sign for you to regroup in this area. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily need to start something new. Maybe you just need to regroup and admit to yourself that, yeah, I'm not happy. This isn't working for me. I need a new challenge. I need green pastures. I need, a whole new thing. So that's possible too. All right, let's pull some tarot and see. But it's definitely a time for you also to rest and take care of yourself, which, you know, I know. Okay. Don't fight the energy, use it. I'm not saying you got to rest 24/7, but Ace of Wands, I'm telling you, the springtime. There was a comment on one of the videos, I think the Scorpio new moon video, and I just wrote LOL because it is funny. You know, I said something about how the springtime for Capricorns, there's something really popping, and then now this is coming up. And, you know, so I think it was Pickwick wrote something like, really, Stella, we got to wait till the spring. I know. But it doesn't mean you wait your whole life. Everything gets put on hold. It could just be one particular situation or thing. And this is speaking to me that there is something big that's going to start in your world. Definitely in Aries season, the springtime. The thumbs up, something glorious is popping on in. Oh, baby, look at this. Ace of Pentacles. And the King of Cups. So something that's going to bring you immense emotional satisfaction, immense financial satisfaction, and immense creative and business satisfaction is on its way to you. It could be involving Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. That's possible. It could be right at the cusp of Pisces, Aries season. So maybe more in March, right when we have all the big movements of Pluto going into Aquarius and Saturn going into Pisces. All right. Capricorn. This is very, very good. There's something here about your emotional world, your emotional alignment, and your investment of energy. That's what I feel really needs the focus on, right? Because look at this. This is like what I was just saying. The King of Cups is looking at these two things. So as I said, if you've been feeling uninspired, if you've been feeling emotionally kind of down in the dumps or about your work or your well-being, or it could be both, because this is physical well-being and this is, we can look at this as, our money life, and we work to get our money, right? It's important for you to take care of yourself emotionally during this Mars retrograde and dig deep into your emotions. Again, not always something Capricorn likes to do. I didn't say you can't do it. It's just not always something you like to do. But that's important. That's important for this season, to really get in there with that Mars retrograde, go deep inside and emotionally be like, what is this fresh start I need in my life? What is this new beginning? Where do I want to invest my beautiful, precious energy? Aces for me are about the self. Where do I feel really good in the world? Right? What things make me feel really good, especially career-wise, when I do them? That's where your prosperity lies. And I feel like there's going to be a reevaluation and a shift. But it's the emotional needs to drive it, not the checklist of practicalities that you tend to want to go for, right? It's more emotionally. So this inward turning with this Mars retrograde, going in there and emotionally finding the information you need for this reassessment of your well-being and of your work life. And that's going to bring about amazing fresh start energy for you. So beautiful. There is going to be a new beginning with your finances in particular as Pluto enters in March, your second house of money and values. So your increased and enhanced confidence in yourself. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do also with emotionally tuning into yourself and knowing what you want and valuing yourself enough to go for it. So this is the time to make sure your emotional energy is fully aligned with what you say you want or what actions you've been taking in the world. And wherever there is a disconnect, it's time to address that, because look what's getting ready to pop. Aquarius, you have Mars retrograde in your 5th house of love, romance, creativity, children, the house of the entrepreneur, taking risks and pleasure. So this is interesting. It's very possible, again, it's a general reading, but it's very possible that somebody from your past comes back into your life. Maybe to wrap up a karmic cycle or to make sure that you have learned a certain lesson, especially since Saturn is wrapping up its transit of your sign. And Saturn is the planet that often brings us karmic lessons. So it's like the test from the universe. Did you earn your PhD in learning this particular lesson in this area of your life? So, so there could be a challenge. There could be a challenge from like your kids. If you have kids, they could, one in particular or all of them, whatever, somebody could be really having growing pains and pushing your buttons big time. There could be some sort of cycle to revisit and look at with a personal relationship or romance, like I said, or with your children. You may be revamping a creative project, going back to the drawing board on it, or trying to figure out, should you just toss it entirely and start something else? Like I was saying, some sort of like cycle, especially like you may be really looking at your dating life as an example. Like, let's say you're out in the dating world and it just seems like it's loser after loser after loser, right? And you're like, what is going on here? Why can't I break this cycle? Why isn't this cycle breaking of just not finding a quality person? So you could be like kind of revisiting and relooking at that. Like, what can you do to, maybe not date online, or maybe to date online, or change how you're meeting people, or something like that. Like change your attitude or change your tactics, or just say, you know what, I surrender. Because a lot of the times when we just give up and we say, all right, whatever, that's when it happens for us. So it could be something like that as well. There could be a second chance in this area of your life in some way. But what I would say, if a second chance comes around, don't get too attached or invested in it. Wait until Mars goes direct again to make sure it has staying power. It has, that it's not just going to go out again when Mars goes direct. You have to wait and see if it's going to stick around. So let's see. Let's see what we need to know for you with this, Aquarius. Let's see. 5th house. Well, we got the Aries energy. And we have the 2 of Wands. And we have the Page of Cups. All right. So when I saw this, I was getting a buzz in my ear about building a bridge. So I'm feeling this is your 3rd house of communications. And we're talking about Gemini, which is a natural communications house. I'm going to read this first from a perspective if you have children or grandchildren, right? Or nieces, nephews, that type of things. You have young people in your life, exemplified by the Page of Cups. They may be especially problematic emotionally. They could be kind of having emotional growing pains. They could be, they could just be getting into some things that are not good for them necessarily. There could be some escapism going on. Maybe they're escaping into, video games, or they're escaping into bad friendships, running with the wrong crowd, like that type of thing. There could be something going on like that. There's something here where you may need to assert your authority as the Emperor. Or this could be if you have a partner, this could be your partner also. But what I'm feeling is with the 2 of Wands in the middle, there has to be common ground. There has to be something from your world and their world where the common ground can meet so you can build a bridge. So I feel like with this Mars retrograde, you could revisit this situation with them and find a solution to reaching them and find a way to get through to them. It may take a little time. You have to have some patience. 2s are not about big actions, but I feel like you can build a bridge. So I think that that's very good. What I'm also feeling is that you can find a solution to some sort of creative problem. And this may be finding the right thing that you feel excited and inspired by. There is something here with the 2 of Wands about creative visualization, about seeing potentiality. thinking and dreaming bigger with this energy as well. Revisiting an old creative dream, that's possible. Particularly one that requires a lot of fearless initiative, let's say, with this Aries energy. So you could be, and you know, Aquarius energy plays very well with Aries energy because you're both so much about being innovative and pioneers and doing things a little differently, being independent. So there's something here where you could be revisiting also some sort of idea for a business, because fifth house is also the house of the entrepreneur. So this Mars retrograde, you could be reassessing, reevaluating. Yeah, you know what? I could do a business in that. That really inspires me. I'd like to do that. Or if you have your own business already, you could come up with a totally some new ideas that are going to be even more profitable for you with the Page of Cups here, which is Pisces, your second house of money. So depending on, you know, what you're looking at here. But my point with this is I feel you're going to build a bridge. You're going to solve a problem. But you need to be the one that takes the initiative and kind of fearlessly looks within for that solution and comes up with a new vision, that you see your world a little differently and you see the way you can also connect emotionally with another person. Because we do have energy here of, you know, my way or the highway. Okay. So you do still need to draw upon that inner authority, but also there needs to be that energy of the bridge building. Like I've said before, this has been coming out in several of the Aquarius readings, kind of being the bigger person here a little bit. But being the bigger person is also the one who's kind of guiding the ship, you know, steering the boat, so to speak. Work with my mixed metaphors. But I feel like this is very, very favorable here. And with this beautiful Page of Cups, I do think by the time we get to your new moon energy, there will be a very nice surprise waiting for you on that end. I feel like all's well that ends well. And you know, in the 2 months, you're going to get that solution. You're going to get that affirmation that you chose the right course of action. You figured it out. So very, very good. You could be dealing with an Aries. That's also possible with this. But yeah, I think this is very, very good. Very good for you, Aquarius. Yeah, I feel like you guys are solving some sort of dilemma in this fifth house area for yourself. And I think it's going to be better than expected, the ending. This is the solution. All right, Pisces. So Mars is retrograding in your fourth house of home, family, roots, what nourishes you and what feeds you. So, you know, this is the foundation of your life. So you are rethinking the foundation of your life. Like, what is secure and solid in your life and what is not? Where are there cracks in the foundation? Where do you need to shore things up? Where do you need to fix some things? This could be literal cracks in the foundation. This could also be anything to do with, if you own a home, I would strongly suggest that if you have a fireplace, that you check your fireplace, make sure it's serviced, that it is cleaned out. I know, especially because there has been such a crazy exorbitant increase in fuel costs. A lot more people are turning toward wood to heat their homes if they have a wood burning fireplace. I would recommend with Mars, which rules fire, you know, Aries, going backwards in the fourth house, that this is a great time to get your chimneys swept. You check your fireplace flues. You check all of those types of things. You check your stoves. You check anything in your house to do with heating elements. All of, you know, anything like that. Check it. Make sure it's working properly. I'm not saying something's going to happen. I'm just saying this is a good way to use the energy. Okay. So, you know, because we're talking about your fourth house of home. So anything related, fire related in your home. This is a great time to make sure you check your fire extinguishers, that they work, your smoke detectors, all of that type of thing. Again, I'm not saying something's going to happen. This is just a good thing to do. We should do it anyway, not just when Mars is retrograde, but This is a good thing to do. Okay. But basically, you're going to be using this energy to turn inward and double check with yourself if you feel solid and secure. Is everything in your world the way you want it? What needs to change? How do you need to change in order to get better security and safety and a firm foundation under your feet, so to speak? All right. So let's see what we need to know about this energy for you. Remember, it's about how we use this energy. All right, Pisces. Oops. Seven of Wands and the Wheel and the Moon. All right, now, Jupiter has just backtracked into your sign. I'm filming this October 29th. He's back in Pisces, going retrograde. I think by the time we get out of the cycle of him being in Pisces, so by the time we get to the solstice, which is December 20th, 21st-ish, and Jupiter then is back in Aries, until that time, I would suggest that you really look at what is emotionally off balance for you in where you're living, how you're living, and who you're living with. You may feel like you're constantly on the defensive. And this could again be dealing with family matters. You can feel like everybody's like judging what you're doing or not doing. You could feel like just emotionally annoyed with people who are making a lot of demands of you and yet judging you at the same time. You could feel like you almost have to live a secret life from certain people. So because they don't understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And really it's none of their business, but you know, that's how families are sometimes, right? Or people very close to us. So this is going to change for you. All right. I feel like when Jupiter goes into Aries, which is your second house of self-esteem, again, around that December 20th, 21st, you will have resolved this issue and you'll be like, I'm doing what I want. I'm going to feel confident. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to put the final touches on what I need to do. You may not start it until after Mars goes direct. Remember, I advise you wait. But you're going to make a fresh start for yourself and you're going to be involved in some sort of beautiful new situation, course of action where you can really be yourself. And you're not going to have to worry or be concerned about these judgments or, you know, comments from other people, especially those close to you. So I feel like you're going to come out of the woodwork, so to speak. You're going to come out loud and proud in whatever it is that you want to do in your life. And when that Mars goes direct, you're going to claim it. You're going to own it. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Whatever that may be for you. Whatever that may be. But right now, I feel like there's the sense a little bit still like you're hiding away some essential part of you. And I think it's that hiding away, and maybe you're even hiding it a little from yourself, that hiding away that's causing the cracks in the foundation. Once you own it, that whole situation will change. You will find that you do have the safety and security within yourself. And that's what truly matters. All right. Now, some of you, we have the moon card here. Let's read this one other way. We have the moon card here, which represents Cancer. This is about home and family. And we're talking about your fourth house, home and family. Some of you are debating about whether to move or not. But it's still very much up for debate and rethinking. You go back and forth on it. One time you want it, one time you don't want it. I don't feel like this is going to get resolved until after Mars goes direct. So, and when we have Jupiter in Aries and we see it very clearly, you're going to get the sign, you're going to get the information. It'll be right in your face. You'll know, okay, because this is the universe energy, Jupiter energy. you will see it very clearly. I feel like if you try to make this decision now and you try to enact it now, it's going to be like, you know, trying to push water upstream. It's not going to have the flow that you want. And you may end up in a place that you don't want to be anyway. So I would try to table any decisions about moving. Just try to do your best to get clarity on emotionally what you need from the foundation of your life, the next place you do end up moving. Because I do feel for some of you, there will be that going on with this wheel, but probably not until the spring. Okay. Could be earlier, but definitely wait until the end of January for sure, after that new moon in Aquarius. So interesting energies here to navigate, but I'm really feeling like, I'm just feeling very called to tell you, Pisces, I feel like there's something about yourself that you're owning. You're really owning it with this Mars retrograde. And in owning it and embracing it, you're just gonna have such a strong foundation in your life. It's a lot about, I feel, about your identity. And as soon as Saturn moves into your sign, you're going to be committing 100% to that new identity. Saturn in your first house. And starting this whole new karmic cycle. But right now, like I said, there's something that it's still not fully out there. Or you feel you do have to kind of hide it away a little bit. But it's like that song, I'm Coming Out. Like you're going to be like, I'm coming out. Like you're going to be coming out in this glorious way. And that's going to bring such a beautiful security to your life, because ultimately we only have ourselves to depend upon for our security. We have to feel confident and secure within ourselves. And that does involve a lot of self-love and a lot of just embracing who you are and your authenticity. And that is going to come out more and more for you in one particular sense of your life, I feel. And then you're going to have the next level of it when Saturn goes into your sign and you commit to this beautiful, beautiful vision you have for yourself. Exciting energies. So thank you so much for joining me for your Mars retrograde energies. Remember to use the energies. Don't let them use you. Leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on for you, how you plan to go within and figure out what you're going to be reassessing, redoing, revamping with your investments of time and energy in the area where Mars retrograde is impacting your chart. I'd love to hear. I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Stella Wilde signing out.